Stephen A., is your boy Jon Jones back?
He's the man. He's the best in the world, and he's my favorite UFC fighter, has been for years. I was sad to see Cormier get knocked out because he's class personified. He's a really good guy.
No question.
I think he does a great job on Fox Sports calling those UFC fights. I think that he's a great champion. He just ran into the best on the planet. Jon Jones is the real deal. But I'm also happy for him because he seems to have learned from his mistakes, you know, outside of the octagon. We know he's got a couple of brothers in the NFL. We know what he's represented as a champion. He's as fierce as it comes. By the way, Max, I'm here to tell you, I believe if he moves up to the heavyweight division, he will beat Brock Lesnar. If that happens, I'm here to tell you right now, I believe that. But I will also say I'm happy to see him back because he's great for the sport. He seemed to have lost his way for a little bit, and I was praying that he'd get himself on track. It was a beautiful moment to see him recover the way that he did. I'm just sad that it was at the expense of somebody I respect so much in Daniel Cormier.
Like when Silva was the best fighter pound for pound.
He's my favorite.
But he wasn't as excited. Like Jon Jones has a very exciting, athletic, striking style, and he could also obviously a high school wrestler and college wrestler. So he's an excellent athlete and brother in the NFL, the whole thing. He was like, what would happen if a great athlete also had a real fighting background in the UFC and MMA? And the answer is Jon Jones. And he took the best light heavyweight in the world, the best guy in the division after over a year layoff, and beat him, knocked him out, right? You know, that's the kind of level he is. And yes, so he's back, yes. He's back in the sense that he's better than everyone else. But
he always is better than everybody else, but go ahead.
Right, but when he was beating Shogun and Rampage and Machida, and I'm not saying
destroyed Shogun, but
right, and he showed vulnerability because in the UFC, it's all world-class fighters. They're all de facto one-punch knockout artists because you could be submitted or knocked out at any moment. So I'm not saying anyone's just going to always sail through with no resistance. I thought he looked, at least to my eye, a little more vulnerable, and it started with Gustafsson, right? That fight.
Gustafsson is tough.
He is, but to me, that right around the time all the trouble started to come out in the news, maybe he
was distracted.
And he started talking about, I want to fight Klitschko. He just seemed distracted, right? His level of dominance declined. I'm not sure he's quite at the level he once was, but he's pretty close. No, he's the best guy in the division.
There, and he's only going to be better because he took a couple of unnecessary shots from Daniel Cormier, and even he had to admit he got caught with shots he normally doesn't get caught with.
Right.
But here's what I love
about him.
Here's what I love about him compared to Anderson Silva. As big time as he was, and he was and is big time, what I hated about him is that he played around. Silva.
Yeah.
He played around. I can't stand fighters who play around.
Like water.
Let me tell you why. It's a pugilistic sport. Let me finish. He has the license to assault and to be assaulted. When you step and you drop your hands and you're telling people to come on, I don't like that. Because what happens is that all it takes is one shot. And you can appreciate.
Well, he took that risk and he kept winning.
You can appreciate until I forgot.
Until he got old.
He ran into my man from Long Island. But in the end, Zab Judah,
right?
Adrian Broner, people like that. Very, very talented in the sport of boxing. But they played.
Yeah, but you know what, Stephen?
And that's what happened.
They just weren't as good as Sugar Ray Leonard and Pernell Whitaker, who did the same thing and won anyway.
Yeah, but they were dedicated outside the ring.
Right.
Yeah.
So the showboating is just a product of it all.
Jon Jones was the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He had a chance to be the best pound-for-pound fighter of all time, at least in MMA or at least in the UFC. He still has that chance.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous comeback win off the layoff. I'm not convinced yet that he's quite where he once was.
I hope he's back. Brings back to the good old days.